we want is a wonderful and exciting and fun experience. And very few people across Canada have had the joy of voting for something different that they really wanted, that wasn't one of the old line parties, and that they could count on to at least work hard and at least do our best and at least confront every bad thing that happens. But this time around, we have a chance to do something much better than that. Because with the spectacular Green candidates that we have running across Canada, I know you've probably paid attention to Vancouver Island. We've just rounded out the last of the ridings on Vancouver Island. Friday night in Comox was the, no, yes, Friday night, today's Saturday. Last night. Sorry. Every day is like a miracle, and it goes on and on and on. Tonight I'll go to sleep in Edmonton, and at 6:45 I will address all the women mayors of Canada. It's just so exciting, making sure that every 24 hours feels like a year. Yesterday, last night, in Comox, we rounded out the final of the Green Party candidates on Vancouver Island. So as you know, I'm running here in Saanich Gulf Islands, and next door to us in Victoria is Joanne Roberts, who is spectacular and will make a wonderful member of Parliament. Yes, Joanne is wonderful, and has sacrificed a lot to do this. She got up on stage at a rally we had in Vancouver last weekend and held the reason she was running. It's her first grandchild, 2 weeks old. So beautiful. Georgia, her name is, named after the Strait of Georgia. No tankers going through this grandbaby. No tankers. So next door to Joanne and me is this new riding, Esquimalt Saanich Souk, where Frances Littman, who was a journalist at Times Colonist and is a wonderful photographer, organizer of Creatively United for the Planet, she's Esquimalt Saanich Souk. Next door to her is this weird new riding, really cobbling together places that don't have much in common with each other. Cowichan, Malahat, Langford. No incumbent, by the way, no incumbent. And our candidate is one of the finest people I've ever met. She's First Nations woman from up north on the island, from Cotsino, where she was the chief of her First Nation. Her name is Fran Hunt Janucci, and she is spectacular. She is a person of such deeply rooted integrity and love of creation, and she is a miracle herself. Anyway, I could tell you a lot about all our candidates. Fran Hunt Janucci is amazing. A little bit about her is Courtney Alberti, we're a former commercial fisherman who's now doing sustainable seafood retailing. His name is Glenn Sollitt. He's running there. Next door to him, and I'm a lady.
He's a Salt Spring guy.
Oh, yes, it was a Salt Spring guy first. You're right. Right, thank you for the correction. Salt Spring Island guy, Glenn Sollitt. And Nanaimo Ladysmith. Also, there's a Salt Spring connection there because Paul Manley's father, Jim Manley, once represented Cowichan the Islands, which, like Tommy Douglas, included here. So Paul Manley is a 16-year-old canvassed door-to-door with Tommy Douglas on these islands. And Paul Manley is our candidate in Nanaimo Ladysmith. And there's no incumbent there, he's doing spectacularly. So the one piece we hadn't filled out was, it's now called North Island Powell River, brand new riding. And last night, and I was just telling Wesley, because I was just blown away, that at our nomination meeting in Comox, the national chief for the Northwest Territories, the chief of the Dene Nation, Bill Erasmus, was there, because he's married to our candidate's sister. So our candidate there is a spectacular First Nations woman named Brenda Sayers, who was the one who took the fight to court to stop the Canada-China investment treaty. If you're interested in stats, that's 7 ridings on the Republic of Vancouver Island. That's 5 women, 2 wonderful men. That's 2 First Nations women and the rest of us. I think we're on the path to the most extraordinary political campaign in the history of this country. It says we're on the path to truth and reconciliation. At the same time, we're on the path to taking our country back. At the same time, we're on the path to rescuing democracy and electing people who are excellent, who will stand up on their own 2 feet every single day. They'll work side by side with me, but they don't work for me, they work for the people who elected them. And it's a whole new formula. I love it. It's called democracy. It's constituents. You know about Lynn Corby, who's a bench lab scientist. She's giving up her scientific work. It's breaking her heart. She goes into her lab and weeps because she realizes, I mean, she's worked in labs where the senior researcher has won the Nobel Prize. And she's a serious molecular biologist scientist. And if Kinder Morgan had left Burnaby Mountain alone, she wouldn't be in politics. But when Kinder Morgan decided they were going to run their pipeline through Burnaby Mountain and through Simon Fraser University, she started speaking out against it. Kinder Morgan is an organization that's taken massive courses in careful communication, the subtleties and sensitivities of how to deal with potential adversaries. So, first thing she knew about how they felt about her was when a stack of papers like this landed on her desk and they sued her for $5 million for criticizing their plans. So then she thought, if they're going to take my house, I might as well get arrested too. So when they were forming on the line on Burnaby Mountain, Lynn Corby, Professor Dr. Lynn Corby, serious scientist, found herself being taken away in handcuffs and waving at the crowd. Now, of course, everybody in this room knows about this, a lot of Canadians don't know, but the injunction that Kinder Morgan got to stop people from protesting them, putting the initial exploration work through Burnaby Mountain over the objections of the Burnaby City Council, over the objections of everybody locally, but they got an injunction, and the RCMP were enforcing their injunction. I love the fact that Kinder Morgan turns out to be massively incompetent because they used the wrong GPS coordinates. They had made it illegal for the protesters to be where they weren't. They tried chutzpah, massive chutzpah. Their lawyer tried to convince the judge that this was a mere technicality. Everybody knew the intention was to stop the protesters from bothering Kinder Morgan. So the fact that the GPS coordinates made it illegal for the protesters to stand somewhere they weren't should be overlooked. And the general attempt to squash democracy should be respected by the court. Thank God for judges. Thank God for Beverly McLaughlin. Thank God for the Supreme Court of Canada. Thank God for a lot of our courts in this country, because they weren't having any of it. And the judge threw out all the convictions. You know, David Suzuki's grandson, Lynn Corby, a lot of people were arrested on Burnaby. Anyway, so then Lynn took the next logical step. I said, Lynn, is there any chance you'd consider running for Parliament? Burnaby North Seymour is a brand new riding, and there is no incumbent. She said, sure, good idea. I think by that point, the slap suit and the arrest had left her not quite focused on what had been. She's brilliant, and she's running. And next door to her, the adjacent riding, I mean, it's wonderful. North Vancouver, currently held by Conservative Andrew Saxon, is being contested by the CBC's former national meteorologist, a scientist and an expert in climate, Claire Martin. That's the first time someone saying, I plan to seek a Green Party nomination, made the national news. Because Peter Mansbridge had to say, good luck, candidate Martin. And next door to her is our former mayor of Whistler, who's our candidate in West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country, and running in the riding that used to be Libby Davies, again, no incumbent, East Van. We have a local social entrepreneur activist named Wes Regan, who's phenomenal. I think he could win. So if you just keep looking at what could happen here, before you even look at Ontario, I don't think the news reached Salt Spring Island yet. Did you hear who's running for us in Guelph? Okay. For 15 years, he has been the environmental commissioner for the province of Ontario. Every year he delivers the report on whether the Ontario government is living up to its own laws on the environment. His name is Gord Miller. By way of his political pedigree, he used to be a progressive conservative, but so are many of us. So I'm looking over at some friends. I wasn't ever a member of any party before being Green, I have to confess that. But anyway, so Gord Miller's running in Guelph. Bruce Heiner's running in Thunder Bay Superior North. We have some other really exciting candidates that aren't announced yet. Sorry for spitting the mic, but Bali told me to eat it, so I just said, ma'am, it's okay. And then we get to Quebec. Oh, the Quebec campaign is, we're going to build a green wall between the St. Lawrence River and the Energy East Pipeline. We're going to elect enough Greens along this wall. This is the campaign slogan of the Quebec Greens. André Belle-Île, who founded l'Association Québécoise de lutte contre le pluie acide, one of the oldest environmental groups in Quebec, is running to defeat one of our popular favorites, Stephen Blaney, the Minister for Bill C-51. And he can do it. So, I don't know, it's exciting for me. Daniel Green, who founded la Société pour vaincre la pollution, he's running in Montreal, and we have one of Quebec's most popular TV stars, comedian, and does a lot of sitcoms and Quebec television. His name is J.C. Lauzon. He's also running along one of those boundaries of the St. Lawrence River to stop the Energy East Pipeline. So in case you didn't know, and then we've got candidates who can win in New Brunswick. Mary Lou Babineau in particular, who's running in the riding in Fredericton, which is part of the riding that David Kuhn won when he became the first Green elected in New Brunswick. So we're feeling, how do I say it? Happy. We're feeling happy. Well, we have not yet announced. Who is? I don't know yet. No, Peter MacKay is no longer running in Victor County. We know that. So we have a really good young candidate, but not a well-known name. We still have some announcements for PEI and Nova Scotia, but and we have some exciting people in the prairies I haven't mentioned. It's just to say that what's happening here, which started in Saanich Gulf Islands, is going to make the difference that means that Bill's lyrics come true. We're going to take back this country. We're going to take back this land. We're going to bring back democracy. We're going to have the kind of Canada that we love. We're going to restore what it is to be proud to be Canadian. We're going to bring it back. And it's going to take, not that we win enough seats so that I become Prime Minister, because it's always possible. I was just in Alberta, met Rachel Notley. It's always possible, but I think what's much more likely is that we will have a balance of power in which we're the party that says after the election, in a minority parliament, we don't let Stephen Harper form any kind of government, and we're there to say to Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Mulcair, or as I call them, Tom and Justin, if you guys can't figure out how to work together, we'll just have to call you out in the national media until you figure it out. Or if the math is right, one or the other of them will accept the things that we request in order to ensure that they run